You've done your research, you've watched the suburb comparison videos, you've narrowed it down, and Greenwood is on your list, maybe even at the top of it. So now the question isn't whether to consider Greenwood, the question is, what is it actually like to live there? That's what this video is. Not a pitch, not a highlight reel, a real look at daily life in Greenwood, Indiana. The neighborhoods, the commute, the schools, where people actually eat and shop and spend their weekends, and what your money gets you in today's market. By the end of this, you'll know whether Greenwood fits the way you actually want to live. Here's what the typical living in Greenwood content gets wrong. It either turns it into a real estate ad, here's a pretty house, here are some stats, call me, or it's so surface level that you leave knowing Greenwood has a Costco and a good school rating and approximately nothing else useful. What relocators actually need to know is, what does Tuesday feel like? What's the commute to downtown at 8 a.m.? Where do people go on a Saturday morning? Is there a suburb you feel like you live there, or one where you feel like you're just parked there? That's what I'm going to cover. Greenwood's geography sits on the south side of Indianapolis, about 12 miles from downtown Indy. It's in Johnson County, which matters because Johnson County operates independently from Marion County. Separate school system, separate property tax structure, and distinction comes up constantly with relocators who are comparing Greenwood to suburbs like Carmel and Fishers. The city itself is split pretty cleanly between US 31, which is the main north-south corridor running through the middle of town. East of 31 is older Greenwood, more established neighborhoods, tighter lot sizes, your original residential development. West of 31 is where most of the newer growth has happened. Larger subdivisions, newer builds, more of the retail and commercial corridor that people associate Greenwood with when they picture it on a map. And then there's Old Town Greenwood, which is a separate pocket worth covering on its own. It's the historic downtown area right off Main Street, and it's been going through a pretty intentional revitalization over the last several years. Let's talk about where people actually live. Let me break down the main residential pockets so you can orient yourself. East of 31 is established Greenwood. This is where you find neighborhoods that have been around since the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Smaller lots, mature trees, ranch homes, and 2 stories, all on quiet streets. Price points are genuinely lower here than the newer West Side development. If you want more house for less money, or if you prefer a neighborhood that actually has landscaping that's had 30 years to grow in, this side of town deserves a look. West of 31 is the newer development. This is where you find the larger subdivision developments. Newer construction from the last 10 to 15 years. Bigger lots in some cases, newer mechanical systems, and proximity to the commercial corridor on the west side. If you're coming from a market where the new construction was the norm, this will feel familiar. Median prices trend higher here because the inventory is newer. Old Town Greenwood, this one's worth its own mention because it attracts a different buyer profile. Old Town is centered around Main Street downtown. It's walkable by Greenwood standards, which I'll acknowledge is a lower bar than, say, a dense urban neighborhood, but relative to the most Indianapolis suburbs, it's notable. There's been intentional investment in the area. Local restaurants, small businesses, community events, and even a farmer's market. The housing stock is older. Craftsman-style homes, bungalows, and the price range varies a lot depending on renovation status. If you want character over square footage, Old Town is where you want to look.
Hey guys, it's Craig. As much as I love making these videos, there is one thing I love more, and that is helping families and people from all over the United States make their move to my hometown, Indianapolis. I have helped countless families make this move, so whether you're coming out next week, next month, or even next year, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is right here on the screen and linked in the description in case you missed the on-screen pop-up. I look forward to helping you and your family make the move to Indianapolis.
Schools. Johnson County versus the north side. This is the section that relocating families spend the most time on, so I'm not going to rush through it. Greenwood has 2 separate school districts depending on where you live within the city. Center Grove Community School Corporation and Greenwood Community School Corporation. Your address determines which one you're in, and they are different from each other, so this is not a minor distinction. Center Grove is consistently one of the highest rated school districts in the state of Indiana. Center Grove High School regularly shows up on state rankings for academics and athletics. If you have school-aged children and academics are a priority, Center Grove is genuinely competitive with Carmel and Fishers, which actually surprised a lot of people who assume the north side has a monopoly on strong schools. Greenwood Community School Corporation is the other district serving parts of the city. It's a solid district, the numbers are respectable, but there is a gap between the two. And it's worth knowing which district your prospective neighborhood falls into before you get attached to a specific house. My recommendation, before you fall in love with a specific property, verify the school district boundary. It affects both your kids' education and the long-term resale value of the home. Cost of living and what your money gets you here. This is where Greenwood makes its case most clearly. Compared to Carmel, which is the most common north side alternative that south side buyers weigh Greenwood against, you're looking at a meaningful price difference. Carmel's median is sitting around $600,000. Greenwood is around $330,000. That gap represents real square footage, real lot size, real purchasing power. Property taxes are another piece of this. Johnson County property taxes are generally favorable compared to Hamilton County. That matters when you're calculating your total monthly payment, not just your purchase price. Everyday costs, groceries, gas, dining are roughly in line with the broader Indy metro. This isn't a suburb with boutique premium on everything. The target costs the same as everything else. You're not paying a Carmel surcharge to buy milk. Where you will notice a difference is in some of the higher end dining and entertainment options. Greenwood has expanded a lot in the last decade, but if you're coming from a market with a dense restaurant scene, or if you're used to the kind of walkable nightlife you see in places like Broad Ripple, that's not what Greenwood is. It's a family suburb with family suburb amenities, and the cost structure reflects that trade-off. Daily life, where people go and what people do. Let's talk about the actual texture of living there. Greenwood Park Mall is the anchor retail hub. It's a traditional enclosed mall that's held up reasonably well compared to a lot of malls nationally, and the surrounding corridors on State Road 135 and US 31 have pretty much everything you need day to day. Costco, Target, Home Depot, and all the standard large format retail. You're not driving 20 minutes to find a grocery store. The dining scene in Greenwood has genuinely improved. There are solid local spots in Old Town like Reverie and Vino Villa, and the usual national chains along the commercial corridors. If you're someone whose Friday night involves trying a new restaurant every week, you'll probably supplement those trips with Indianapolis proper. But for a normal week's worth of eating out, Greenwood handles it surprisingly well. As far as parks and outdoors go, Freedom Park is probably the most well-known. It's a community park with athletic fields, playgrounds, and walking trails. The Johnson County Trail System has expanded, and there's ongoing investment in outdoor recreation and infrastructure. It's not a suburb with a lot of natural wow factor, no major lakes, no dramatic terrain, but the parks are well maintained and well used. Let's talk about some community events. Old Town Greenwood has become a genuine hub for community events. Farmer market runs seasonally, there are festivals downtown, and the revitalization effort has made it a place people actually chosen to go rather than just pass through. That matters for people evaluating whether a suburb feels like a community or just a zip code.
Thinking about relocating to Indianapolis? Well, I have just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours and hours of research. And I've linked it down below, from the top employers, the best hospitals, and a boatload of other things that you need to know before making the move. The best part is that this guide is 100% free. You heard me, 100% free. Just click the link in the description or the top pinned comment. Hope this helps.
Now let's talk about the commute, getting in and out. This is the honest section. If you're commuting to downtown Indianapolis, Greenwood is a south side suburb and your primary corridor is US 31. That stretch between Greenwood and downtown is functional and it moves, but it's not the same as a suburban highway system. During morning rush hour, call it 7:30 to 8:30, you're looking at a 20 to 30 minute drive on a normal day. That's manageable and it's comparable to what you deal with coming from Fishers or Noblesville on the north side. If you're working in the South Indy corridor, Greenwood itself, Whiteland, the industrial and commercial areas in that southeast quadrant, the commute situation is notably better. You may find yourself with almost no commute at all depending on where you land. I-65 gives you access north into downtown and south out of the metro. I-465 is accessible. The road infrastructure in Johnson County is generally good. What Greenwood doesn't have, public transit is not a meaningful option here. If you need to rely on transit, this is not the suburb for you. That's true of most Indianapolis suburbs, but we're stating plainly. Now let's talk about growth and development and what's coming. This is relevant if you're thinking about Greenwood, not just as a place to live now, but as an investment over time. Johnson County has been one of the consistently fastest growing counties in Indiana for over a decade. That's not a coincidence. It's a combination of affordable land, favorable tax policy, strong school systems in the Center Grove area, and proximity to the South Indy employment corridor. Development on the west side of Greenwood specifically has continued continue to expand south into the Bargersville and White River corridor. New commercial development, new residential subdivisions, ongoing road infrastructure investment. The city is not stagnant. From a resale perspective, Greenwood has appreciated steadily. It's not Carmel level appreciation, but it's also not Carmel level entry price. The buyers I've worked with in Greenwood have generally been happy with where the value has moved over a 3 to 5 year window. If you're at the point where Greenwood is a real option, not just a suburb you're casually considering, but somewhere you've actually evaluated seriously, the most useful next step is a real conversation, not more YouTube videos. I work with relocating buyers in the South Indy corridor, and I can tell you specifically what's available right now in your price range, which neighborhoods fit what you've described, and what the process looks like if you're buying from out of state. Link in the description to get on my calendar. It's a 30-minute call, no commitment, and it's a lot more useful than watching 5 more videos. If you're still in the research phase, the relocation guide is also in the description. It covers the full Indianapolis metro, including the north side suburbs, so you can do the comparison without starting from scratch. Subscribe if this was useful. I post a new video every week, same depth, different suburb, and drop a comment. Where are you moving from? What's driving your interest in Greenwood specifically? I read everyone and respond. Thank you so much for watching.